As the citizens were offering their prayers as well as well wishes to Maharaj Pṛthu, all of a sudden the four Kumaras appeared on the scene. And it is noteworthy that in the 20th chapter of the fourth canto, the 15th verse, the Supreme Lord had already predicted that the four Kumaras would appear and Maharaj Pṛthu would have the good fortune of serving them. So just as the prophecy was, the four Kumaras, who were very powerful, youthful sages, appearing as effulgent as the sun, they descended from the sky and appeared on the scene, and therefore everyone immediately recognized them. And as soon as they were done with their offering of prayers to Pṛthu Maharaj, the citizens were also anxious to receive the four Kumaras properly. So the whole Vedic etiquette of receiving great sages like four Kumaras is being depicted here. So it is described that seeing the glowing effulgence of the four Kumaras, the masters of all mystic power, the king and his associates could recognize them as they descended from the sky. So the words that were used for four Kumaras in verse number 2 is Siddheshwara, Siddheshwaran, which means they are masters of all mystic power. And Prabhupada notes in the verse number 2 purport that when they were coming to Maharaj Pṛthu from other planets, they did not come by airplane, but personally. In other words, these four Kumaras were also spacemen who could travel in space without machines. The residents of the planet known as Siddhalok can travel in outer space from one planet to another without vehicles. That is their special caliber. And another important point that Prabhupada is noting here, that the special power of the Kumaras mentioned herewith is that whatever place they went to would immediately become sinless. During the reign of Maharaj Pṛthu, everything on the surface of this globe was sinless, and therefore the Kumaras decided to see the king. Ordinarily, they do not go to any planet which is sinful. That's another significance of why four Kumaras were appearing. It is to congratulate Maharaj Pṛthu that his kingdom was completely sinless. So naturally, Maharaj Pṛthu, upon seeing the four Kumaras, was very anxious to receive them. And so everyone hastily got up. And the analogy that is given is that as anxiously as a conditioned soul whose senses are immediately attracted by the modes of material nature. So Prabhupada elaborates in verse number 3, this whole idea of how conditioned souls are naturally attracted to the modes of material nature. And likewise here, the sinless personalities like Maharaj Pṛthu, they were naturally attracted to personalities like four Kumaras. So Prabhupada is expressing in verse number 3 purport that every conditioned soul is influenced by a particular mixture of the modes of material nature. As such, the conditioned soul is attracted to certain types of activity which he is forced to perform because he is completely under the influence of material nature. So here, Pṛthu Maharaj is compared to such a conditioned soul, not because he was a conditioned soul, but because he was so anxious to receive the Kumāras that it was as if without them, he would have lost his life. And then Pṛthu Maharaj, exemplifying a guardian of Vedic culture as a true exemplary, he washes the lotus feet of the four Kumāras and sprinkles the water on his hair. And in this way, he is demonstrating how to receive a spiritually advanced personality. In purport number 5, Srila Prabhupada quotes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Aponi Achari Prabhu Jiver Shikhay, that whatever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught in his life as Acharya, he himself practiced. So this is essentially emphasizing on how Achar speaks much louder than the Prachar. When he was preaching as a devotee, although he was detected by several great personalities to be the incarnation of Krishna, he never agreed to be addressed as an incarnation. Even though one may be an incarnation of Krishna or especially empowered by him, he should not advertise that he is an incarnation. People will automatically accept the real truth in due course of time. Pṛthu Maharaj was the ideal Vaishnava king. Therefore, he taught others by his personal behavior how to receive and respect saintly persons like the Kumāras. When a saintly person comes to one's home, it is the Vedic custom first to wash his feet with water and then sprinkle this water over the heads of oneself and one's family. Pṛthu Maharaj did this, for he was an exemplary teacher of the people in general. And then it is described how the four great sages are elder brothers of Lord Shiva. And when they were enthroned on a golden throne, they appeared just like fire blazing on the altar. And Prabhupada explains how they were the elder brothers of Lord Shiva in purport number 6, that when the Kumāras were born out of the body of Lord Brahma, they were requested to get married and increase the population. In the beginning of the creation, there was a great need of population. Therefore, Lord Brahma was creating one son after another and ordering them to increase. However, when the Kumāras were requested to do so, they declined. They wanted to remain brahmachari throughout life and be engaged fully in the devotional service of the Lord. The Kumāras are called Naishtika brahmachari, meaning they are never to marry. Because of their refusal to marry, Lord Brahma became so angry that his eyes became reddish. From between his eyes, Lord Shiva or Rudra appeared. The mode of anger is consequently known as Rudra. Lord Shiva also has a Sampradaya party known as the Rudra Sampradaya, and they are also known as Vaishnavas. So at this point, Maharaj Pṛthu starts greeting the four Kumāras and started speaking the choicest words in glorification of the four Kumāras. So he begins speaking by saying that the sages who are auspiciousness personified, and how rare it is to get their darshan. So he is acknowledging that I do not know what kind of pious activity I performed for you to grace me by appearing before me without difficulty. And again, Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport number 7, the uncommon circumstances in which one receives special mercy to progress in spiritual life. And Prabhupada is explaining that when something uncommon happens in one's progressive spiritual life, it should be understood to be incurred by agyat sukriti, or pious activities beyond one's knowledge. To see personally the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his pure devotee is not an ordinary incident. When such things happen, they should be understood to be caused by previous pious activity. Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam. So one who is completely freed from all resultant actions of sinful activities and who is absorbed only in pious activities can engage in devotional service. Although Maharaj Pṛthu's life was full of pious activities, he was wondering how his audience with the Kumāras happened. He could not imagine what kind of pious activities he had performed. This is a sign of humility on the part of King Pṛthu, whose life was so full of pious activities that even Lord Vishnu came to see him and predicted that the Kumāras would also come. So from this scene, what we are learning is that whenever we come in contact with a pure representative of the Lord, we should not take that for granted, because it is a very, very special occasion somehow entered into our life. And in order to come face to face with the Supreme Lord, ultimately one has to come above the sinful activities. And we know that one can remove the sinful reactions and the sinful tendencies only by the power of devotional service. So it is through the practice of devotional service one becomes gradually qualified to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, or even meeting his great representatives like the four Kumāras, the effulgent sages. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai.